It's Kickstart. I have Dr. Aaron Chapa from Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center in studio. I'm going to kick this on the FM, and we're going to have some fun this morning. Share this out. Let us know what you got going on today. Good morning. It's KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. My name is Gardy. I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center here in studio, where we are spreading a message of health, wellness, without the use of drugs and surgery on this beautiful day. So, Dr. Chapa, how you doing this morning?
Oh, man, it is a beautiful day. I mean, it's a little colder than I like. I'm not one for cold, but I will tell you that I like the sunshine, and it is good to be out, seeing that clear blue sky. It's one of my favorite color blues in the whole wide world. Anytime crazy things are going on in life, I always find that color blue is a reminder to me to keep my eyes on the Lord, keep my eyes on Jesus, and that it's all going to be great because He's got this. And I remember when I was first in practice, I was overwhelmed one day, and I was talking to a business coach friend of mine, and he goes, "Okay, what are you doing right now?" I said, "I'm sitting in my car. I was off of Bay Area Boulevard in Clear Lake," and he goes, "All right, pull over." And I pull over, and he says, "Get out of your car." I'm like, "Okay." I get up. I'm just like following instructions. And I mean, I probably wouldn't, 90 days, 120 days into practice. I mean, it was early on. And he goes, "You got a pen?" I said, "Yeah, of course I got a pen." And he goes, "Throw it on the ground." And I'm like, "Okay." I throw it on the ground, and he says, "Pick it up." And I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "When you're overwhelmed, one of the best things to do in life is to control something, control anything. And then if you happen to be on a beautiful sunny day like today, look up into the vast emptiness of the sky, and your mind will literally just go immediately blank. It'll clear. It's like scrubbing all the tabs that you've got open on your computer.
I have 50.
It's like all the apps that your kids got open on your phone.
Right.
It just instant scrubs them all. And it's like a reset button. And sometimes we just need a little bit of a reset. And the reset allows us to think a little clearer, when faced with a challenge, or whenever you have a lot on your plate, you're able to say, all right, now I can do that reset, and I can come back to and say, as I pull up these apps on my data screen, my day to-do list, you can start pulling and prioritizing from a different angle, because there's no way you're going to get it all done. The to-do list is like ever before you, right? And that starts to contribute to a layer of a stress burden that you're carrying. And it's like, it's what I call, you're never going to be in a place where you're going to be absolved to illnesses. Like you're going to have illnesses come, but it's how does your body respond when presented with a bug? If your body responds in an appropriate manner, you don't even download it. If it does download it, your body's going to handle it more effectively. And so it's not about never being sick. It's about how your body responds during the sickness. It's the same with stress. Stress can be one of those factors that we have to realize it's always before us. And it seems like lately, I've been talking to patients yesterday, and I just hear this underlying undertone of all kinds of stresses. I mean, all kinds of stresses, family stresses, kids stresses, grandparent stresses, in-law stresses, elderly issue stresses. Everybody's got a thing, and we need to all, frankly, be thankful for our own such situation, because somebody out there has it worse. You know what I mean? And somebody else out there has a situation that you wouldn't be able to handle and deal with, and so we need to manage our attitude in approaching those stresses, don't we?
Yes. There's someone out there who wishes they had my problem or your problems, or whoever's listening, somebody wishes they had your problems.
Yeah, right up until they have to deal with those problems.
Right.
And then they go, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that, right? And so I look into my database, and I look into my history, and I look into my into my tool chest. And, one of the things that I'm most thankful for is that I have tools in my resources, bag to pull from whenever I'm faced with challenge. So if I'm having trouble sleeping, I have patients that come in and they have problems staying asleep. What can they do? We pull out the Mintran, we pull out the Tranquinol, we pull out, the Sleep Force. We give people tools during the night. I can take supplements during the night? Of course you can. You don't even need to turn your light on. How cool is that? You know what I mean? Just have water on your nightstand just in case. And if this is a reoccurring issue, and then have the product on your nightstand and just reach over, pull 2 out and suck them down. Or, I had a patient that their stress was fine, and then all of a sudden the last 2 weeks, they've noticed that their stress margin is minimal. Like they're not able to manage the margin because they don't have any margin, and now it's all catching up to them. And so it goes back to assessing your day-to-day stress. If your stress on a 0 to 10 scale is a 7 to a 10, then you need to make sure that Adaptocrine, Mintran, and Neviton is close at hand. And because those are tools that will help manage the bandwidth of your nervous system, that will help support your adrenal glands, cortisol capacity, and will help to keep the radiator cool, the Mintran, to keep you from overheating so that your body functions optimally. And these are wonderful tricks of the trade to help people navigate the stress of life. And if we can get you functioning below a 7 into the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 zone, which means you may have to dose hourly. You may have to dose every 3 hours. I have patients that don't realize that they're burning through nutrients so fast that, dosing once a day is just not enough, right? They've got to be willing to dose frequently whenever when the stress is at its peak. And it's not always there, but sometimes it is. The same with illness. If you have a cold, if you've got congestion, if you got a fever, if you got a lymph node, we've got tools. When in doubt, Congoplex it out. We're always giving people options to help manage those tissues, and those tissues want to be better. They just need support. And so at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we're always looking for ways to get data into you so that you know what to do when. Because when's happening. It's going to come. Like, it's not if it's coming, it's when is it coming. And are you ready? And are you knowledgeable? And if not knowledgeable, we want you to be educated. We want you to call upon us, and we want you to know that we want to be your number one resource in the health and wellness arena. We want to give you tools to support yourself, your spouse, your kids, your loved ones, so that they don't have to suffer. And it's just a matter of giving, applying enough of these practices and principles. And I can't tell you how many people we've been able to work through infections that would normally end in antibiotics or steroids, and all of a sudden now they have a new tool in their tool bag, and instead of just dropping an atomic bomb on their GI tract and creating a 3, 6, 9 month aftermath of cleanup, now they are being trained immunologically to handle infection. Their body actually gets stronger. When the stresses go up, their body's getting stronger. That's cool to me. That's wellness to me. That's, how you maximize the longevity curve, is to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to take care of your body at the peak capacity. And it's little things. I mean, I look at my regimen, and it has fluctuated over time, and I've even experimented. I would say foolishly experimented by getting off some of my adrenal support and stress support in the past, and just to see, is this stuff really working? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does it really do what I tell patients it'll do? And trust me, the one time I got off of my Adaptocrine, for example, I will tell you with absolute certainty, I won't be getting off of Adaptocrine unless they just stop making the product I'm on. Then I'll find another one. It's called OptiForce. I already got it. I mean, there's always a backup plan.
Yeah.
And because I'm not going to mess around when it comes to my endocrine axis. When you look at your endocrine system and the way that it manages the stress, I think that's how you help modulate your immunity. Your immune system will be stronger if your endocrine system is at its best. And your endocrine system is your hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, adrenals, and testes or ovaries, depending on your gender. And so we want to support those pathways at the most potential level possible. The stronger your endocrine system, the stronger your immune system. And so it's going to, I would even say, the stronger your endocrine system, the better your sleep. The stronger your endocrine system, the more sharp and clear you are for the day task at hand. The more abilities you have at taking on more or managing more or working with situations that are extreme. Your endocrine system allows that. My mentor would always say that the endocrine system is his number one supportive pillar. I remember in school, I was at this seminar, and I was new to the world of nutrition, and these guys are walking around like they had laser light therapy, they had colored glass brain integration therapies, which was all through colored lenses and managing cranial nerves in the brain. They had obviously nutrition. They had detox, foot baths. They had, they had anything and everything that you can imagine. I literally was shell shocked. I was like, "Holy man, I've never seen anything like this." And I remember one of the guys, they needed a guinea pig, and I said specifically, we're looking for a student. Is there a student in the room? And I raised my hand. Oh, we got one right here. And so I go up to the front, and they make an example out of me, and he finds, in some of these reflex work, that my adrenal glands were testing up, like they were stressed. And he goes, ha, 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 we got us another adrenal, gland student syndrome, and because all students apparently have adrenal issues, and I was, no, I was not any different. And he told me, he goes, if you will take better care of your adrenal glands during finals, when everybody else is crashing and burning, when everybody else is having post, final flu or cold, you won't have any of that stuff. Your recovery will be so much better. Your ability to go into your finals and have less stress, better sleep, in recovery, you'll outperform all your classmates. And so I just was like, okay, I'll take that. And I remember I was taking this product called de-stressing formula. We call it in the office DSF, and it stands for de-stressing formula. And it is a really cool product. Now, it's a honking big pill, but it works great. And it's like everything your adrenals could possibly want and more, and it works phenomenally whenever warranted. Lots of B vitamins, lots of cortisol managing support, lots of adrenal food, so that the adrenal glands get what they need from a nourishing and a stimulatory effect. And your adrenal glands live right on top of your kidneys, and they manage everything from your sex hormones, because like I call it, when we deal with, people that are in the if we just talk hormones for a second, if you were to kind of have a top end hormone level and a bottom end hormone level, and then draw a line to cut it in half, the top echelon is your fertility years, male and female, and then the lower echelon, from the middle down to the base of your hormone status, would be your menopausal years, or in the male, andropausal years. And if you're too high in the hormonal chain, you're anxious. If you're too low, you're depressed. If you're up and down above the lines on both sides, you're on a roller coaster ride and you scare people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we know those folks. And so recognizing that we all have a fertility potency, and we all have a menopausal or male andropausal, potency. They're phases of life. It's when we're outside the balance and the boundaries for which we have problems. Well, guess who manages that? Your adrenal glands. And people they go, wow, I didn't know my adrenal glands manage my sex hormones. So when we have people needing extra progesterone or estrogen balancing or testosterone. It's their adrenal glands, responsibility to make sure to give your body what it needs. But here's what's interesting. If you look at what sex hormones are designed to do, sex hormones are your fertility, your reproduction, your creative gusto, right? If your body is stressed to the gill, what is more important, survival or reproduction?
Survival.
So would it make sense that your body will then convert sex hormones into stress hormones in order to make sure that the vessel survives?
It's a survival.
Survival thing,
and
right? That's how the physiology works. And so we have a monstrosity happening in our medical community right now, where people are being overdosed on hormones. It's like we're doing patch-up care. We're not doing underlying correction. And that's because we're focused on regulating hormones from the outside with exogenous creams and gels and shots and pellets and whatever we stick under our skin. And we're also onslaughted with hormone-mimicking fake hormones through the lotions and potions and creams and stuff that we put on our bodies to, look young and vibrant all the days of our lives instead of taking care of our insides. And these create, hormonal imbalances, and they feed into, other aspects of health decline, but that it's that stress factor. If we don't get the body to manage the stresses better, then all of those stress hormones take over and we lose our potency. And it's interesting, when I talk about sex hormones, people think of just sex drive. That is one facet, right? That is absolutely a something to consider. But what if it's just, I'm present in the moment with you, Gardy. Like we can have a conversation eye to eye. What if you're in a situation where I'm like, I live every day. If I know when I'm not potent is whenever I'm not telling stories. If I'm just going through the motions of, getting through a patient visit, getting the work done, but it's not with the creative gusto and potency, that vim, vigor, and vip that I talk to so much, it's because my endocrine system's compromised. And so it reminds me that if I can just do a daily check-in and say, all right, Chop, where are you at today? Are you potent? Are you vim, vigor, and vipped? Are you energized? Are you creative? Are you talking? Are you having to rein yourself in so that you don't run over on patient visits because you're so excited about the work you're doing today? Right?
Right.
If I'm not having to reel myself in, then I know my endocrine system is compromised. If my legs aren't shaking on the radio, I know all you guys love watching my legs shake.
I'll show them right now. I'm going to switch this camera shot. If you're watching on Facebook, you can see his legs shake right now.
No, I'm going to hold them.
Stop it.
I'm hold them. If I don't have that, that happening, then there's a good, strong possibility my endocrine system is compromised. And so one of the things that I want people to embrace is just that continual need to care for and strengthen their hypothalamus, their pituitary, their thyroid, their adrenals, and their sex organ glands, their ovaries or testes, and making sure they're all working. And they go, well, how do I do that? We feed them. When you come into our office, we're checking these reflexes that help make sure. We're listening to what we call a orthostatic hypertension test. We lay you down to your blood pressure, stand you up, do your blood pressure. And people go, well, my blood pressure's high. No. It doesn't matter, because this particular test is a test of stress. It's a stress load on your adrenals, on your kidneys, and on your heart. And we can see that. If you go lying to standing when you take your blood pressure and you lay there for 3 minutes, and then you take your blood pressure, and then you stand up to immediately take your blood pressure, if you don't get a 10-point rise in your blood pressure systolically, diastolically, and pulse, then you've got a compromised adrenal system, stress management, compromised kidney, compromised heart. And so we want to look at those faculties. What if we're just simply, we don't have a blood test, right? So not everyone wants to take a blood test every day. There's no easy way to assess your metabolic diesel engine, your fat burning capacity. Everyone wants to be fat burners, right? Yes? Show of hands? I think so. Everybody. But how do you measure your fat burning potential? Endocrine-wise, your endocrine system. Well, you could simply wake up in the morning and take your temperature. You could, if your temperature's not at 98.5 degrees, guess what? You're low. If you're 97.7, if you're 96.5, if you're anything below 98.5, your thyroid is not at its best. And then, so we're going to come in and support your thyroid with minerals. We're going to support your thyroid with iodine. We're going to feed that thyroid. Not that the fact that the thyroid is necessarily broken or damaged, but what if you just were, maybe not right now, but what if you're in the heat and you're dehydrated? I had a patient come in, and she was cold to the bone, and her body temp was definitely cold. She was double layered. She's sleeping under 4 wool blankets and just can't get warm. That's thyroid. That's a classic thyroid indicator. And she goes, well, but I feel like I've been doing everything. I just got off of the detox and da-da-da-da. Oh, that explains it. Remember, for every toxic unit that you detoxed on the detox program, you do lose 2 to 3 mineral units. Let's up your minerals. And within 2 hours, she goes, I'm not cold to the bone anymore. Every day that she continues replenishing those minerals at a higher level, guess what's going to happen? She's going to get warmer. She's not going to need the extra layers of clothes. Now, 31 degrees, 33 degrees, whatever, you're going to need some extra clothes. You know what I mean? But if you're cold all the time, everywhere you go, you're that person that always takes a jacket with you, odds are your thyroid's underactive. And it is oftentimes due to mineral needs being in the toilet, like low. Now, could it be other factors? Like, could your thyroid be stressed because of metals or chemicals or infections? Of course, and we see that too. But we don't jump to the extreme when we haven't evaluated the simple. We always at Living Well want to start with simple things that you can control and manage. So simply, trace minerals B12 could be a solution. Bromelain iodine could be a solution. We want to get that thyroid boosted back up so that your metabolic booster, your diesel engine is running efficient, hot, so that you're able to go through your day on top and not be lagging all day long.
Dr. Chapa, there's a couple comments that I feel are pretty important. If it's okay, get some of these.
Yeah.
This first one was from Mindy. She said, since becoming a patient, cleaning up my diet and adding supplements, I'm sick much less often. And when I'm sick, it's much shorter lived, which I think is one of the things that you preach. Like, the bugs are coming, but how does your body deal with them? Okay, so here's another comment. This is from Andrea. She said, I was just diagnosed with an encapsulated shoulder due to hypothyroidism, suffered pain for months. Apparently, this is common in thyroid and diabetes patients. And then one question she had asked when we were talking about hormones from that, she said, do all hormones balance each other? And then there was another comment said, when my thyroid is off, I get hot flashes, which makes me think my estrogen is pulled with it.
And so, start. I guess let's go to the top. Hey, Mindy, thank you for that comment, because here's what I would say. Not only will you get sick less often and will they be shorter lived, the healthier you get, they'll become few and far between if you get sick. It's like your tolerance goes up. Now, don't get me wrong. What I also find in that same breath, the healthier you get, the more your body will tell you when you did something foolish, And I'm like, and I know that whenever if I happen to get into sugar, if I get into just a food source, bad oils, like my body instantly tells me, what did you do? Why'd you do that? That wasn't smart. So I'm a little bit more cautious the healthier I've gotten, which makes it challenging to go to just any old restaurant. I have to be a little bit of a food snob And that's annoying to myself as well as to my family, probably. but God bless them, they tolerate me. I guess if I scar them with stuff like that, I mean, I'm not like making them feel bad about themselves. I just, when I see them eating, junk food, I go, man, that looks really good. And they go, it is. And I'm like, awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you look at this encapsulated shoulder, right? I can't tell you how many frozen shoulders have come in, and we never touched the shoulder. We just cleaned up the lymphatics, we detoxed the liver, and we upregulated the endocrine system, and the shoulder pain went away. I mean, the freedom there. So you have to say, all right, encapsulated shoulder. Anytime you have an encapsulated anything, it's encapsulating what? Toxins. Stuff your body can't use. But your body can't get rid of it either in this case, so your body had to find a storehouse. Well, what happened in this situation is the shoulder, it was the innocent bystander. The lymphatics were moving left to right, and on its travels to the liver to be for processing, it was moving too slow, but it was a violent enough, dangerous enough toxin, metal, chemical, some sort of airborne pollutant, something that your body was really like stressed about, said, I can't let this sit as a burning car on the freeway. We've got to put this out like quick. And so it surrounds it in the lymph system and basically encapsulates it and stores it in the nearest neighboring joint. In this case, it happened to be the shoulder. And a lot of people get impingements from this. They get frozen shoulders, and they're not able to now use their shoulder at full capacity. And it's due to toxins, and it's due to lymphatic congestion, and then the thyroid is told by the liver, hey, I need you to slow down metabolically because I can't keep up with the byproducts that you're spinning off in your metabolic push. And so now the patient starts feeling brain fog. Now the patient starts gaining weight. Now the patient starts losing their hair. Now the patient starts having all these thyroid symptom patterns, and it's simply because the thyroid is being told to slow down metabolically in the body. And then medicine, and this is again an area that is a major problem because everybody on this frequency knows that there's somebody in their life right now that has a thyroid issue. And the thyroid oftentimes is not the problem. I would say 99% of the time is not the problem. It is something else somewhere else. And we've got to go find that something else somewhere else so that we can help drain that burden off the body, which is why I love detoxification so much, because it's a 3-month process in 3 weeks. So our Ultimate Detox program and our 10-day programs, anti-inflammation, blood sugar reset protocols, are designed to help make sure that you're always decongesting the lines. You're cleaning out and roto-rooting the lines, because oftentimes we are eating those convenient foods. Oftentimes we are putting in mucus-forming foods. Oftentimes we are putting in sugar-laden foods that are driving inflammation. If we can slow down the inflammatory process, if we can slow down the congestion process, instead of having 6 good lanes and only able to use 3, now we've got 6 good lanes. And we can drain that stuff over to the liver, and the 1,500 known pathways that the liver's running is able to keep up. And your body's not burning off your minerals so fast that you can't keep the process going, because that's another part. That's the deficiency cycle. Because we eat so many sugar-laden foods, inflammatory, driving foods, processed garbage foods, fake foods. What do we know, Gardy, when we eat make-believe food?
Make-believe health.
That's right. We're going to get make-believe health. And nobody wants make-believe health because it ultimately leaves us behind the 8 ball. It leaves us short on the yardage that we need. It leaves us with not enough energy, not enough brain power, not enough of the lifestyle that we want to put out. And so we've got to make sure that we have a sufficiency, not a deficiency. And if we eat make-believe food, you're going to be in a deficient state. And make-believe food and could be in the form of your ice cream. I had a young patient come in. You're not taking my chocolate mint ice cream away from me, Dr. Chapa. And I'm like, okay, keep suffering with those allergies, young lady. Or what about the whenever it comes to when you find yourself in a state right now of like a shoulder encapsulation problem due to a thyroid issue, and everybody's treating your shoulder and everybody's treating your thyroid, what about the liver? So when we look at this second, comment about, what was it? It was
do all hormones balance each other?
Do all hormones balance each other? I would say that there's a measure of output that your body, male and female, exude on a daily basis based on your output demands, for sure. And if I'm going to say they should be in balances of each other. And so, yes, but what happens is when we're getting exposed to all these fake hormones, we wind up becoming dominant in one. And because it is a fake hormone mimicker, it sits in the receptors of your natural usable hormones, and it creates a dominance. So now you have too much of a hormone that confuses those other hormones. And we've got to clean those areas up. That's liver. That's lymph. That's, making sure that those tissues are able to keep up with the hormone cleansing effect by having healthier liver function. And it's interesting, the liver being, not an endocrine hormone producer per se, it is absolutely imperative that the liver is in the conversation of hormone balancing. But if you go back to your sex hormones, your potency, your creative juices flowing will be absolutely altered if your sex hormones, your stress hormones are too high. And so if your stress hormones are too high or your adrenal glands are overworked and they can't keep up with the stress, then they sure as heck can't keep up with the sex hormones. And so without healthy adrenals, you cannot have a healthy endocrine system. And because they manage our stress, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, are people in your world seemingly more busier than ever? Busy with an exclamation point, busy with a capital B, right? I mean, people are chasing their tail, myself included. It just seems like I'm seeing it. And it's, I still think we're all kind of recovering from, the COVID lockdown lifestyle. Is it safe to go out? Can we go out? Are we going to be harassed? Are we not going to be harassed because of our views? I mean, there's all these different things that people are still managing and dealing with. Is things going to ever get back to normal? Is the gas price ever going to go down? Is the inflation ever going to get back under control? I mean, the things that, people are communicating and sharing, you can hear the stress in their voice. You can hear the wonder, in the back of their mind if they're going to be able to make it. And it's when they focus and dwell on those things continually and they don't use their tools to help their body physiologically suppress those voices, then they get locked in on just the very thing that they're focused on. We've always got to go back to the beginning of the show today. What did we say? Keep your eyes on Jesus. Look to the skies, look to the heavens. And when we start looking upward, onward, goodward, and Godward, we start realizing that we have tools and resources that have been provided to us. Jehovah Jireh is his name, the Lord our provider, right? I mean, it's cool how we can kind of tie all this back together, and we are more than just a chemical factory. We're a structural factory. We're an emotional factory. We're a spiritual factory, and our energy output is determinant of those 4 faculties of our body: structural, chemical, emotional, and spiritual, being aligned, being in full, unison. If you're in pain, how productive are you?
not as productive as you can be or should be or want to be.
Or want to be. I mean, sometimes, you have good intentions to have a great weekend. That you've got a free weekend to get this, and that done, and guess what happens? You hurt yourself, or you get sick, or something just kind of derails you, right? And you're not able because you've got an ail. Oh, the ails. But what do you have tools to help fight back the ails, so that, like Mindy was saying, that the ails come few and far between. The ails are short-lived. And again, it's not that you're never going to have an ail, it's that how does your body handle the ails? And what are you doing with your cortical thought processes, that means your live thinking brain, to manage the ails when they come? Because again, they're coming. And so a part of what we're trying to help people realize is, you have more tools in your tool bag than you realize. You just got to learn to use them. And at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we're going to teach you how to use them. It takes time to learn how to use them. It's like learning a new language. It's like learning a new skill. And if we fall in love with the process of learning how to get reconnected to our body, even to recognize our body's tales. We have people come in and they're depressed. They are emotionally not trusting of people. They are very pessimistic. They are cautious. And, they just really, have you can tell there's stuff wrong. And then you look at their toxicity questionnaire that, most of the time in a case like that would be like 80 or 90 or 110 on a 0 to 10 scale that it should be. And they score a 15 on it. And you're like, they're disconnected from their body. They can't feel their digestive ails. They're not aware of their sinus congestion. They've rationalized. I had a patient come in and tell me, I asked them, do you have a bowel movement every day? And they said, oh, yeah, of course. And I just let it be, and I didn't, this is early on, I didn't ask better questions. And then I come to find out, many visits later, that the only reason they have a bowel movement every day is because they do a coffee enema every day. And I go, oh, wait a second. That's not having a bowel movement every day. That means that there's a deficiency somewhere and your body's not able to run without you manually priming the pump. I'd rather you have a bowel movement every day, no matter at whatever cost, but that's not wellness. Wellness is your body functioning like God designed it to. Every tissue, cell, organ, gland firing on all 8 cylinders like it's supposed to, right? And so we want to make sure that we're giving the body the tools to function and fire like it's supposed to activate those 1,500 pathways in your liver that will keep your thyroid regulating, that'll keep your stress hormones at bay so that you're able to keep a strong, robust endocrine axis. That hypothalamus, that pituitary, that thyroid, that adrenal, that gonadal axis, keeping all that in a hot, blazing place so that your system is running optimally well, that you feel your best day in and day out. And so I think it's just a really exciting thing to see that we do have tools in our tool bag. You're assessing the stress, you're assessing your sleep. You could assess your diet. You could assess, hey, what does my food log look like? Make a food log, 5 days, 3 days. See what you eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks in between, midnight snacks, waking up in the middle of the night to eat. That way we can put times on there so we can see where and when are you eating. There's patterns that your body really does. You ever heard this saying, we're creatures of habit?
Mm-hmm.
So your body wants you to be patterned. You want to eat at a certain time, same time every day. You want to eat about the same amount of portion every time you sit down and eat. You don't want to be caught in this place where you're eating random portions all throughout the day and there's no rhyme, no reason. There's an intentionality. Food is fuel. It doesn't mean that you can't enjoy pleasure foods, from time to time, once a week, whatever. But we have a tendency of having pleasure days, pleasure months, pleasure weeks, pleasure months, and we find ourselves symptomatic at that point. because the pleasure, like I had a friend of mine tell me this weekend, he goes, yeah, I learned that if it tastes good, I just can't eat it. But he's lost 150 pounds, So for him, overcoming the food battle was a big deal. But I was looking and watching what he had. He had carrots and hummus and guacamole and tomatoes and bell peppers and a little bit of salad and some, pumpkin seeds. I mean, I was looking at all of his food thinking, you look like you're eating pretty darn good to me, bro. You know what I mean? And I saw another friend of mine over the weekend, and he had a big old salad with, walnuts over it and strawberries and healthy, dairy-free, bad oil-free, sugar-free dressing and not laden with artificial sugars. And it was healthy. Like he had everybody at the table that were all meat eaters go, that looks awesome. You know what I mean? So it's really fascinating that whenever people present the color of the rainbow and they enjoy that color of the rainbow, people around the table go, I want that, but they didn't prepare. Remember, people never plan to fail, they just fail to plan. And so you got to be planned out for what you're doing this weekend, what you're doing this week, what you're doing today, and making sure that you're going through the appropriate steps of saying, world, I know it's busy out there. I know it's going to stay busy, but I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to do what I need to do in order to take care of me so that I can take care of you, whatever that is in the world that you got to take care of today. Because if you put your oxygen mask on first, you're going to have plenty of air and you're going to have plenty of gusto and ability to ride the sail into the sunset, if you will. You're going to make sure that you're not on the shallows, that you're out in the deep waters where the adventure is. You're going to feel life abundantly. And I think that's where that's what's attractive about wellness. That's what people want. It's just helping people see. It might seem overwhelming, but if you're willing to make 1 degree of change, we can train you, we can teach you, we can show you. And we can teach you to show your family, show your kids. And they're still going to make mistakes. They're still going to foul up the mess. But, man, if you can more often than not get them involved in the preparation, cooking process, even in the cleaning process, so that they can see that it's okay to take the time to prepare and to make a mess and to clean that mess up, is a good practice for real life. Because where is it real life when you watch these cooking shows? And you ever notice, like, their kitchens are always perfectly clean, even while they're cooking. They got the messiest spaghetti dish, they got out lasagna dish, sloppy whatever, dish, and they don't have a spot of mess on the counter anywhere, no clutter anywhere. It's just a sales gimmick. It's just the illusion of ease. Real life is, dirtied up. We bought this air fryer, right? I've been talking about this air fryer since the beginning of Detox, and turned out we already had an air fryer. It was one of those multi things that could dehydrate, bake, rotisserie, toast. It could do anything. But there was a little button that said air fry on it, and we just didn't know. And my wife buys this other air fryer for the Detox, and we're using it, and I'm loving it. I come home, and there's a giant, like, melted part on the front of it, and I look at it and go, what's up with that? And my wife goes, I just ordered an ouchie sticker on Amazon because Dash decided to burn the front of it, and now I have a kitchen gadget that it's not even 2 weeks old, that's messed up, but it still works fine. It's just not as aesthetically pretty. And so we said, well, we'll just put a little ouchie sticker on it because, it had an ouchie. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, it's just not going to be healed. But that's real life is, dude, I mean, you're going to burn stuff. I'd rather my kids burn stuff and see the consequence of them not paying attention to things and them learning how to navigate the kitchen and cook their own food and know how to use tools in that kitchen than to be afraid of messing stuff up because we're so rigid. I think too many conversations I've had, parents just are not willing to let their kids mess stuff up, and I think that we've got to find it within ourselves to let go of the rigidity in order to train up the next generation, because we've just been sold that everything's got to look pristine and perfect in the background on the other side of the camera, whenever in reality, life's a little messy, isn't it, Gardy?
It is. It can be.
If you've got kids and you don't have mess going on, you might have like those make-believe, kids. They're like wax figures in the background, because I want people to know that, we struggle just like you might be struggling. We are faced with challenges just like you are faced with challenges. We just use the tools more frequently than we don't, and we are constantly communicating to each other in a way that helps to know that we're not going to, there's not going to be a massive reprimand for a mistake made, because life is full of learning from mistakes, not just making mistakes. If we just focus on making mistakes, we're afraid of mistakes. If we focus on learning from the mistakes, then we become wise. If we are geniuses, we'll actually learn from other people's mistakes. That's the best way. That's why I share my air fryer story. I share my air fryer story to you as a parent, that when your kid burns the front of it and seemingly ruins your beautiful, aqua colored air fryer face, that you just go, well, that sucks. I'm just going to deal with that,
Yeah.
Because I don't really want to send it back. I don't want to call them and ask for a replacement part. Maybe they will. Maybe I should. Maybe that's a good idea. But I don't even think I have the 1-800 number. I'm going to turn it over and go Google it.
The ouchie sticky's better.
Yeah, the ouchie sticker's way cooler.
I like that.
Way cooler. And so I encourage you guys today that wherever you're at, whatever you're going through symptom-wise, be aware that you are in more control of how to manage those symptom patterns and that those stress patterns, and that your body is just communicating to you. Let us help you interpret what those communication signs look like and what they mean, and how you can use the tools that we have at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center to navigate those shifts, those challenges. When you feel like you're heading towards the shallows and going to go rock-bound and you're going to crash the ship, we can help steer you back out to sea where the adventure is, where the fun is. And now you're just coming in for a pit stop to make sure everything's working like it's supposed to, and we get you back out on the fast lane. We help your body perform at a higher performance level, and that you can feel good about the life and lifestyle that you're creating for your family and yourself in the health and wellness arena. At Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we believe that all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is the fundamental backbone that drives your health onward, upward, goodward, and Godward. We want you to know, one bite at a time, that you can live better, be better, and stay better, that you can, one bite at a time, you can think better, and you can be more creative. You can feel your very best day in and day out. And I just want to be a voice of encouragement, a voice of hope, that you can, no matter what you're going through, navigate the challenges if you just allow, new ideas, 1 degree of change, and an action step every day to be entered into your data pool. That's why we do the show every week. That's why we teach classes. That's why we are constantly looking at ways to help people feel better and live better. We have programs. Our Macro Fix program is doing a class this Thursday at on the 10th at 6:30 p.m. And we're going to be talking about the basics and importance of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. This is all good information coming off the detox. Is how much of these foods do you need? We encourage you to come and be a part of that. We have our heart class coming up at the end of the month, where we're going to be talking about there's nothing that beats better than your heart. We want to get that beat right and in sync and in harmony. And so stay tuned to the things of living well. We want to be your number one health and wellness resource, and we encourage you to share our show, to like our show, to comment on our show, to tune in every week live if you're able, or just to enjoy the from the podcasting platforms, the social media platforms, the YouTube platforms that you enjoy most. Just look us up, justlivewell.com. Just Live Well, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We're there in all those facets. So if you just remember any part of our name, we should pop up, and you will be educated. You will have that one degree of change right there in your hands to share with your own life and those around you. So God bless you today, and y'all have a fantastic and wonderful week.
This is KHEA Radio 99.5 FM.